Hello everyone and welcome to Is It Go On Air. Today we're interviewing Federico Madotto, an engineer who graduated from the Polytechnic of Turin, expert on blockchain and cryptocurrencies, now currently living in France. Federico, welcome.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us something about your academical career? What was the reason behind your choices?
Well, my academic career actually started when I was in primary school, in the sense that I remember being in a school recital in which we needed to say some lines about what we wanted to be as adults. And of course, I wanted to be an engineer, so here I am. At the beginning of my academic career, I started here in the region. I did my bachelor degree in the University of Trieste. And in ICT engineering.
Oh.
And soon I realized that it wasn't that easy as I expected, to be honest. The first semester, it was pretty hard, and so I needed to adapt my study behavior to the university world. Then, during the second semester, I met two people, a guy and a girl, which became my study buddies. And the decision to start studying with them was probably the best decision I've ever made in my academic career. Because I soon realized that studying alone, it's something very difficult to do. I mean, it's demotivating sometimes, because you're in front of the book, and if you're alone, you get distracted, you don't want to study that hard, you don't want to study that long. And also, you don't know if you really understood what you're studying. So studying in a group, I think it helps very much, because you need to explain things to other people, and you realize immediately if you actually understood what you're saying or not. And well, many minds is better than only one.
Yeah.
So fast forward 3 years, I graduated in University of Trieste. I got my diploma, and in the meantime I took the decision to move to Turin. To the Polytechnic University of Turin, for mainly two reasons. One, because I wanted to study electronic engineering, which was not the best idea to do in Trieste because of the lack of proper labs in the university. And second, because there was an interesting program a double degree program between the University of Turin and a university in France, which is specialized in information security and penetration testing and malware analysis and all that stuff. So I decided to go to Turin. I did my first year there, and I studied a path related to micro and nanosystems. And then I did my second year and a half in the University of Telecom Paris in the southern France. The university is actually from Paris, but it has an international site in Provence, in the south of France, in which there are people from all over the world. I met incredibly talented people and incredibly talented professors that helped me pursue a career in the information security path.
What are you currently working on?
What I'm currently working on, I'm working as a security analyst and developer in a software company called Amadeus, which is one of the biggest software company in the world. You probably don't know it because it doesn't provide software for people, but for companies. Its main subject is airlines and airports. And in the meantime, in my free time, I also consult companies such as startups, which are interested in developing projects about blockchain.
On your LinkedIn profile, you mentioned a lot of companies that you work for. Would you mind telling us a few stories of what you experienced while working there?
Well, actually, I worked only in Amadeus and as a self-employer. In Amadeus for two different things. First, I did my internship there, and I worked on a project about blockchain. They were exploring an application of blockchain to one of their processes, which involved using cryptocurrencies to the selling of tickets for traveling. Now, I'm currently maintaining a login panel for airlines. So our clients are airlines which need to manage their flights, etc. So we check, we manage all the things related to authentication and authorization of the users. And then I'm also a tutor of some university students that are working on some research project about blockchain and biometrics.
So, your grade point average is 4.0, which is very impressive. Can you please tell us the secret behind that?
Well, there's no secret behind it. There is a lot of hard work. It doesn't come for free. I think a lot of passion also. The two things go together.
It takes a lot of dedication, I suppose.
It takes a lot of dedication, yes. As I was saying, well, in our study group of 3 people, during exam period, we were easily studying 15, 16 hours a day with a few breaks. And we actually didn't do it for passing the exam. You don't need to study all that much for passing the exam.
Yeah.
I mean, we were studying mainly for ourselves. We wanted to understand the things, and then, well, the exam, were easy afterwards. But yes, I mean, there's no secret. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. So if I can say an advice is choose a path that you like, because you're not going to be able to study that much if you don't like it.
I suppose you were curious.
Yes,
so
well, yes,
that
extremely.
And also imagine that it took a lot of coffee to go
Oh,
all the way.
it helps.
Well, I'm not sure many people know what blockchain is. Could you briefly explain to us what exactly it is and what are the applications of blockchain?
Well, a brief introduction of blockchain is the topic of my 2-hour lesson that will come in a few minutes. So it's not easy to explain it in 1 minute or 2, like exactly. The main concept of blockchain is to create a sort of parallel to the existing internet, where instead of information you can exchange value. Because when we exchange information on the internet today, we send copies of this information. If I send you an image, we send a copy of that image. We don't lose that image. It's still on our computer and you receive a copy of it. But if I want to send you 10 euros, well, if I still have the 10 euros and you have new 10 euros, well, it's something more difficult. I mean, it's critical. And so today, to exchange value, we rely on central authorities, which are, for example, banks. And so we say, okay, bank, I want to give this guy 10 euros. And so the process is taken care of by the bank. Blockchain is made to avoid the interaction with the bank and as a means to let me transfer 10 euros from me to you directly in a secure way.
I also heard that many companies like Walmart, a huge retail chain in the United States, are heavily investing on blockchain. Why?
Well, many companies are actually investing in blockchain. The main reason is for exploration purposes. So there is not a clear definition of what is the best application of blockchain today. So all the companies are trying to explore, okay, let's try to do this using blockchain. Most of the time it doesn't work because the main purpose of blockchain technology is to eliminate a central authority. If a company wants to apply blockchain and still be the central authority, it doesn't make any sense. But it's still useful because, I mean, exploring projects that then fail, it's still useful because all the companies are gaining knowledge. In the future, we will see what is the best application for blockchain, if there is one.
Only a couple of years ago, Bitcoin was used for illicit activities, for example, drug trafficking on the deep web. But nowadays, many people consider Bitcoin the future of currencies. What caused such a shift in image?
Media. Well, it is true that it was used for illicit activities such as drug trafficking, prostitution, buying illegal weapons on the black market. But then again, also euros and dollars are used for that. So it's not really Bitcoin the problem, it's the people the problem. Bitcoin is kind of good for it. It's an appropriate usage of it because it's more difficult to track and trace with respect to fiat currencies. But the image of Bitcoin is used only for that is given us by the media. So it is not true that Bitcoin was used only for that. And it's still used also for that, but as much as fiat currencies. So the shift in image is just an impression given us by the media. Because they are paid for telling us what we want to hear. So the bigger the audience, the bigger their income. So some times ago, Bitcoin was kind of things that nobody understood correctly. So it was kind of a thing reserved to some hackers and nerds. And so the public image of hackers is, a mean guy who destroys websites, so we must buy drugs all the time. Then again, people actually started using Bitcoin, and when it rose to $20,000 per Bitcoin, well, approximately, now it's way less than that, people started to say, maybe I should invest in Bitcoin. And so the media realized that it was going mainstream, and so they say, maybe it's not that bad, you should buy, it will be the future, actually. And so people are happy because you have this confirmation bias. And so you want to hear what you realize that you're actually supporting. So what I mean is that you only seek for information that you know beforehand that you agree on with.
A lot of people invest on Bitcoins because they hear a lot of success stories also.
Yeah, exactly. You only hear the success stories. And that's very, very dangerous because there are as many, if not more, not really successful stories as well.
Other than Bitcoin, what are the other most promising cryptocurrencies? Should we expect a Bitcoin monopoly in the future?
Well, that's a tricky question. I mean, I can reply with saying, okay, the cryptocurrency with the biggest market cap are Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, EOS, and Bitcoin Cash today. That doesn't mean that they are the best one. That doesn't mean that they are the most successful one. They have the most value and the most users. That's true. And so I wouldn't say that there are best cryptocurrencies or like lesser cryptocurrencies. There are different cryptocurrencies. There is a whole spectrum of application and with different purposes. Like for example, Bitcoin was born as a way to exchange money. Now I wouldn't compare it to money, but I would compare it to gold because of its extremely high value. And so if I want to pay, I don't know, a coffee with Bitcoin, it would be very expensive because the transaction fee is huge today, and it wasn't supposed to be.
So playing with Bitcoins is like playing with stocks nowadays.
Kind of, yes, exactly. That's correct. And Bitcoin monopoly, I don't know. Only the future could tell. But the sure thing is that Bitcoin was the first one. It's not the best one. So for now, it has the biggest market cap. But it could change any time in the future.
Perhaps an oligopoly is the more possible.
Yes, it could happen.
So, the Venezuela government recently launched a new cryptocurrency, the Petrol. Why does it exist? What's the purpose of such a cryptocurrency? Should we expect more governmental cryptocurrencies in the future?
Okay, Petrol. Well, I'm not an expert in Petrol. It went out, I think, some couple of months ago.
Yes, last February.
Could be. The only thing I heard is that it is supposed to be backed by oil reserves or something, and it's mainly managed by the government. So we see a huge problem here, a red flag, like big as it has. Because like a blockchain was invented to eliminate central authority. So here we are seeing a government, the Venezuelan, Venezuelan, thank you, trying to impose this cryptocurrency, and they didn't manage to explain well enough how it works. At the beginning, it was supposed to be their own implementation of a blockchain. Then they decided to go with Ethereum. Then now I think they went back to their own implementation using our kind of platform. So there are miners, I believe, but most of them are owned by the government. So there's no purpose in mining if you own most of the node. So I don't believe it's a real cryptocurrency. Well, it is a cryptocurrency technically, but it doesn't have the philosophy of a cryptocurrency.
From what I heard, the Petrol is used to avoid the embargoes, especially.
I didn't hear about it, so I cannot comment on that. But what I could comment on is that, well, first I believe that in the end it wasn't backed by oil reserves, but there was an exchange rate which was dependent on the oil price, which is very different. Second, all the exchanges I think are managed by the government. So it is a desperate try to lift the economy of Venezuela. And like, for example, Kodak is doing with their own new cryptocurrency, I think it's a very similar situation. I don't think it's a real cryptocurrency. I don't think it will work. And I hope, to referring to your last question, that not many governments will do the same thing. Probably they will, but if we are going to have many cryptocurrencies all owned by governments, well, there will still be central authorities, and there is no point in it. I mean, we could use euros and dollars as well.
The entire point of cryptocurrency get lost.
Exactly,
basically.
exactly. So they maybe implement this as in a regional country fashion, but it doesn't make any sense.
Like you already mentioned, it is supposed to eliminate the central feature, which is the government.
Exactly.
Can we expect new job openings thanks to cryptocurrencies? And if so, which ones?
Yes, the answer is yes. There are, if you look on LinkedIn, there are actually many companies recruiting for blockchain engineers, which doesn't mean anything. Blockchain developers, blockchain analyst, blockchain consultant, I am one. There are many jobs openings with fancy titles, but the truth is that there is no proper education, not formal education for it. So there are companies are looking for people that know about it, and they look for people that either know how to code a new blockchain from the ground up, or code some logic that goes on top of a platform, such coding smart contracts for Ethereum. But mainly they look for people that are knowledgeable in the less technical aspects of it, but more economical and game theoretical aspects of it. So you need to understand why are you using blockchain for this project, and that's very difficult to say.
So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to invest into cryptocurrencies?
Don't do it. Well, don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. I would suggest to read a lot about it, starting with Bitcoin, which is the base of all blockchain applications, or at least it's very similar, and understand what you're investing into. Investing in cryptocurrency is like gambling. It's very risky, and you should absolutely know what you're doing. Don't invest in cryptocurrency if you're not ready to lose the money that you invest. If you want to invest in Bitcoin, I wouldn't stop you. I mean, you can do it. It's easy to do. But first, I would advise to absolutely know everything about it. And second, if you're investing 100 euros in Bitcoin and you lose it the next day, if you cry about it, don't do it. If you say, okay, I lost 100 euros, I don't care, well, you may as well try it.
So it's a high risk, high reward situation.
Exactly.
So if you must use your so you must use your income that you can lose that is not vital for your livelihood.
Exactly. Absolutely. Don't invest money that you cannot afford to lose. That's a general rule for investing.
It's not the golden rule, but it's a rule that people should follow.
Exactly.
Well, what is your opinion on cryptocurrencies? Is blockchain technology the new internet? And I'm sure that at this point, everyone wants to know the answer to that question.
Cryptocurrencies are a very interesting application of blockchain technology. They are a good thing. They're also a bad thing if you don't understand how it works. I don't know if we can compare it to a new internet, because the internet is comprised of a whole layer, like the ISO-OZ stack. So I would compare it not to all the internet, but to a protocol, like for example TCP/IP. It's a protocol onto which you can build many things. So I wouldn't say that cryptocurrencies are the main interesting thing here, but I would say that blockchain technology is. It will surely be something big in the future. It's probably too much hyped today, so it will not probably be as big as the media is trying to convince us. But it's surely interesting. It's a surely interesting new technology, not because it's secure, not because it uses cryptography, but it's the whole idea of mixing concept of cryptocurrency and security, cryptography and security with economical aspects and game theoretical aspects.
So blockchain is like a new toolkit that companies can play around with.
Yes, exactly.
So the distribution of information was only made so that it cannot be hacked, or there is a hidden agenda behind it?
Every system can be hacked with enough resources. So I don't know if it was made to be hacked, probably not, especially because all the protocols, all the application running using blockchain are public by design. Everything is transparent on a blockchain application. Everyone can know what is going on, so it is highly reviewed by everyone. So if there is a vulnerability in a code in the protocol, people eventually are going to find it. So I wouldn't say that is something like I wouldn't say that it's something that it was made to be hacked or used improperly. It could be.
Maybe there's a backdoor that we don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so because the protocols are easy. They are based on cryptography, on existing algorithm of cryptography, and those algorithms could have some backdoors. But for example, Bitcoin, I mean, it's not technically difficult, but because it relies on some building blocks of cryptography, but then on top of it, there is an ingenious way, but simple way, to manage incentives to make so that attackers are not incentivized to attack the network. What I mean is that there is not a technical layer thick with definitions and implementations that make a blockchain network secure. What renders a blockchain secure is the fact that an attacker is not incentivized to do so. I mean, attacking a blockchain network means paying a lot upfront with zero to little reward.
Because there's a lot of machines that must be hacked before you can hack the entire blockchain.
Hacked or bribed.
But the distribution of information in a lot of places makes it so that it's basically impossible to hack.
Again, every system can be hacked, but yes, it's very difficult. It's kind of impossible, I would say. There are not enough resources in the world today to hack a large network such as Bitcoin. You can bribe a lot of people so that you don't need to hack them. You say, I will give you 10 euros if you lend me your computer. That could work, but it's very expensive. And also, the fact is that if you hacked a network such as Bitcoin, what do you get in reward? Probably Bitcoins. But if the Bitcoin network is hacked, Bitcoin will be worthless. So you spend a lot, thousands of millions of dollars, and you probably won't be able to properly perform the attack. And if you manage to perform the attack, you will get Bitcoins, but they will be worthless. Exactly. So you get nothing from it.
Because the entire image of Bitcoin is ruined.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. So you could argue that a government is against Bitcoin, so it doesn't care if he doesn't get anything from it, from the attack. And so it just want to ruin the image of Bitcoin. It can be done, theoretically, but then again, it must have the majority of the computational power of the world, which not even half of Google have.
And that's all for today. We'd like to thank Federico for this interview.
Thank you.
And we'd also like to thank our viewers for tuning in. See ya!